Peace and blessings, family. Sister Ajali. It's because there's been an epic 7.7 quake in Myanmar. I was calling it Burma still, but it hasn't been Burma for a while. And let me just go right on over. It was in the city of Bangkok, though I don't believe it was centered in Bangkok. But the report here says a powerful 7.7 magnitude earthquake and a 6.4 magnitude aftershock have struck Myanmar on Friday, that's today, rocking across Thailand as the death toll climbs. The epicenter of the earthquake hit near the city of Mandalay in Myanmar, with tremors felt hundreds of miles in Bangkok, Thailand, where authorities are reportedly racing to rescue dozens of people trapped under rubble, according to news reports about the supposed unquestionable intelligence of Western civilization, in saying Western rather than just segmenting it to white people. It's all attached to the worship of white people. But there's a lot of people who are not white who participate in just keeping this whole myth about their super intelligence up there, so that we just sort of say it de facto, and then persons such as myself who give you far more information, someone like me will be overlooked. And even, I don't think too much they bother discrediting me at this point, because YouTube is in such a vast censorship, shadow banning mode, that anybody who would question the facts that I just slatheringly bring with each share, and they could pretend that they've never heard of me. I'm not saying whether all these folks have or haven't. No, I don't think that they have. But it's just really weird that we've been sort of squeezed down to talking about absolutely nothing that impacts our ability to sustain our Black lives on this planet, let alone life at all. Because if all life is going, we are in trouble. I saw they're really going to push that vax thing. The vax did not cause the earthquake in Myanmar. The planet did not get jabbed. Okay? The insects that are gone, oh my goodness. This morning I started listening to share that Organic Slant put out, where he was talking about how they've removed entirely a documentary that won an Academy Award. We know that ain't worth a hill of beans, but it was called Chernobyl Heart. And it covers many of the things that I just keep presenting, that data, that the massive rise in young people dying of heart attacks, and then they'll say, well, they had an underlying undiagnosed heart condition. Yeah, it's called cesium-137, right? And they removed the entire documentary, so you cannot find it anywhere, and it won an Academy Award. And so that, he talked about how Dana proved that they took out a whole 4-minute clip from one of his lives. And so I went and I watched most of the share, and the headlines he's showcasing from old ENE News are scathingly damning, just along the lines of what I've been sharing all this time, that goes beyond my opinion. This is simply the facts of what we're facing. And so when these folks will say just these lighthearted reasons for stuff happening, no, that is not what we are looking at. We're looking at a global side, not just even a genocide, but the entire planet. Because with the Myanmar quake 7.7, oh my goodness, I'm always just showcasing this United States Geological Survey map that a brother coming to my channel had shared with me at one point. And I'm always taking screenshots too, because I notice the volatility of these different quake zones is off the charts. Now they're talking about a volcano in Alaska that is a mega volcano that is, they calculate it's going to explode in a couple weeks or whatever. I don't know. This is not something you can like predict like the weather, where there's no other interference, there's no massive like terra firma involved on top of the friction that those molten cores that just melted out of the Fukushima buildings, because there was nothing to check them anymore when they were exploded. In my firm conclusion, I definitely recommend watching Dana's video that I just showed, because he had a caller who came in and, you know, went over the details. And Dana, who I've never heard him say that he wondered as to the cause of those explosions at Fukushima. I've always hinted, because of different articles I've run across at Henry Macau's website, even though right now he's pushing something that I recognize as propaganda as far as the whole Jabberoonie thing goes. But yeah, I always kind of knew that 3/11/11 is when those things were suddenly, they were blitzkrieg, and they set it right on the Tohoku fault line, I do believe it's called, in Japan. The largest nuclear power plants, reactors in the world. And yeah, so this whole thing, the volatility of our Earth has increased since that date, because those cores, ain't no concrete building would be capable of holding something that was clocked as to be hotter than the surface of the sun. Ain't no concrete building holding that. That's why fusion is simply not going to ever happen, because it would have to reach temperatures of that level in order to generate a fusing process where you're taking hydrogen and you're turning it into this helium is involved, where fusion is the creation of actual material. Fissioning is just tearing stuff apart. And so in our Earth, those cores called corium are tearing our terra firma apart and creating great friction and volatility. So I've read people who are in the Southwest and just the middle of the country southwise, who are moving. They are out of there because they're like, there's never been as many quakes as there were before. And we're talking like 3-point level on the Richter scale. That's really not a large type of quake, but for them, they're like, this has never happened before. And I used to have a link to a site where they would show historically the different quakes, and without a doubt, the volatility right after Fukushima, in my firm conclusion, was exploded. It just jumped through the roof. So we're dealing with a planet that, the best analogy I've ever come up with is, it's like oatmeal, only the thickest, most compacted oatmeal you've ever burned up on your stove. And thereby all of these quakes are just those bubbles from the friction, from the heat coming up. On Daily Mail, they had an article saying that just recently they've noted that the planet's whole entire physical structure has become deformed. And so those cores are probably in the core of our planet, causing massive damage and irradiating everything they come in contact with. So it turns other matter into radioactive isotopes themselves. And that's the thing, it's affecting everything. So when they had an article in Daily Mail, in Zero Hedge, and all of these different, we're pro-white type of places, even though Daily Mail tries to pretend it's not, as pro-Satan really. which unfortunately for pro-whiters, that winds up being the guy that they run to as if he isn't just the nothingness, in order to rescue them from all their compacted generational lies. But yeah, they're just saying, oh, it's a jab that's like, causing instant cancers. And no, it's a process. It's not something that would happen spontaneously, even with Fukushima. And man-made radiation is billions of times more volatile than any other toxin in existence. You cannot go up with a Geiger counter and get a reading on the lead that is not only in Flint, Michigan water, but all the water, because if it's coming through a pipe, there's an old pipe they made out of lead. All right? But you still can't identify where the pipes are underground with a Geiger counter. They just tore up the pipes in Newark. Nobody was standing there with one of them old pipes over there, John. No, we thought it was here, but I can tell by the Geiger counters over there. No, that's not happening. So the level of contamination, it's coming in every single strata of existence. And these dudes won't tell you. They won't tell you that's what's the cause of all of the dead creatures. But I mean, in that Dana Live he shared, it's 10 billion crabs that are missing, along with so many other species. And kudos to him, right? I don't like Dana. Dana don't like me. And it's not that he doesn't like me. He thinks that we as a black people, we're just sort of like decoration for whiteism, right? That's my problem with him. It's a deep problem, but salute to the work that he's put in. Nobody could take it away from him, right? And later on, if we manage to save the planet, we could work out all the details. But there's a section of Satanism that embraces bringing every single thing of reality back to the nothingness, because they have the mind of antimatter in all of their shenanigans and all of their technology. That is what antimatter is. It destroys everything. Well, it doesn't just destroy physical matter. It even destroys concepts, the soul, the hopes and dreams. Everything has to be taken out, because otherwise families, sane black families, and all races of people, if they were sane, none of them are pretty much, right? We would fight. Fukushima. Sometimes I just sit back and when I look at the volatility of our planet, I'm like, what's going to take these folks out but their own petard? All right? I don't want that. I surely don't. I wouldn't work as hard as I do if destruction was my goal. But I'm like, you know what? We're all going to rejoice. If Allah has to start it all over again, our souls are gonna know. No, you don't do that nonsense that those evildoers were trying to make us seem like, oh no, it's okay, it's good. Right? Allah and the Most High, Yah, use the name of the Creator you were divinely guided to embrace. He's such a, old party pooper. He won't let us have any fun. How in the world did you get so blind that you don't just enjoy and embrace the amazing glory of being alive, of having a family, having people who love you, people you could depend on, not to lose their freaking minds and do all sorts of disgusting stuff, right? I was watching a movie on Netflix, and anything I watch, if it's movie-wise, it has to be like made before 2025, pretty much. But it was called Everest. And I had read the book, actually, written by John Krakauer about that incident. And one of the persons who had participated in reaching the top of one of the most massive deaths from hypothermia amongst those who were I'm sorry, I don't want to call you dumb, but dumb enough to go climbing up to Mount Everest. What? they just said, when I come up here, like it was the dude's third time. And I think he's the one who wound up losing his nose and his hands and his feet because of the hypothermia, but he managed to get out of there. He said, when I come on up here, suddenly I miss my family. Yes, that's an idiot. That's an idiot. You don't know how to acclimate yourself to the realities of life so that you don't cause disaster and destruction. You're an idiot. Nobody's going to miss you. I surely wish no one any harm. But the Most High, he operates with a different, complete and full understanding of what must be done. So yeah, I know this about Myanmar, but I'm also letting you know the full cause of this madness. I don't know, there's a whole, but there's quakes going on in China that China doesn't report to the USGS, okay? But there was a village and a city, and they have had so many quakes that every single time there's a little tremble, they jump up and run out of their own buildings into the streets so they don't die, because their buildings tend to be built like crap, so they'll fall at just the hint of an earthquake. But I'm just like looking, saying, what you guys do? And then I remember black people, we used to be all up in there. They even have a dance in one Chinese village, several of them actually, where they do the little black people dance for the black people who used to be there. Okay? I'm just saying, genocide is just seems to be par for the course for certain folks out there. I am not accusing Myanmar or anything. I hope that they can make it through this new disaster. I don't wish anybody death. All right? But I'm not the Most High. At this point in time, everybody's supposed to bow down. Bow down. So my condolences for any lost lives. That's the most important thing. The buildings, they got them all over the place, and folks then swear it's a sign of civilization when it's only a sign of how insecure the population's personality is as a whole, okay? Yeah, that's all. Go on over to 25,000yearscycle.org and get your healing done. We have outstanding products there. I mean, Dr. Shi and I, we've actually looked up the ingredients for certain folks who get an awful lot of attention, and we checked out what they have listed as the properties and the different, things they put in there. You got folks selling nothing but friggin' giant salt licks to you with not but maybe a little drop or full of the healing ingredients inside. That's not what we do, okay? And we have books there so you can learn what you could do about the radiation, because that stuff will get stuck in your body, right? That's a vector where the death is just, I've shown the graph of the energy level that comes just from the waves. Well, one atom will be putting out those waves. All right, that's just, yeah, go on over there. And again, I don't mean anything untowards. I didn't used to say anything with shares like this, but I'm like, wait a minute. Queen, you're the only person on the planet who's doing this research so that people can save themselves and save our planet, and then offering the ways to do that. That's incredible. So thank you, Brother H, for your soap order. And anybody else coming in just today to get your heal on, again, 25,000yearscycle.org. All right, I'm out. I'll be back in hopefully not in 10 more days so that I can keep writing my book. Whoo, straight black pride is our rescue forever. Peace and blessings. I love you.